Welcome, everybody, to the Eden Army Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Pete Robertucci. New year, same asshole. So expect more of the same buffoonery that you got last year. You're going to get it again this year. Kick.com over there is blowing up. Guys, if you have questions for Wes Hightower, our guest tonight, make sure you hashtag Wes, and we'll make sure we get those questions answered for you. Any question. If I don't like the questions, I'll just delete them and act like they never came. So no, I'm not going to say that. There are some dumb questions. I get it. But put them up anyway, and I'll decide what's dumb and what's not. But anyway, welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Eden Podcast. Thank you all who suffered with me through the last year of me learning how to the ins and outs of podcasting. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That's how we get our name out. That's how we get the preparedness community involved with the podcast. And since our last show, I'd like to thank Bullshite, Mama Teresa, K-Love, Mama Gnome, Tom Bryce, Matthew for your resubscription, as well as Snicker and Joey for the follow. We certainly appreciate that. Whew. Anyway, wow, what a year already. What a year already. We're going to be talking about current events. It's including the uprising in Iran and what that could potentially mean for us here in the United States. We're also going to talk about the people in New York City. Now they're seeing the results of what it means to elect a socialist Muslim mayor. Apparently something went on yesterday or the day before. ICE versus a lesbian liberal and MSP. ICE won, and we're going to talk about the prep of the week. But first, I'm honored to have a great guest on tonight, Mr. Wes Hightower from RallyPoint ISR Solutions. Again, if you have any questions for Wes, hashtag Wes, and we'll get those questions over to him. I met Wes while he was still active military. I think one of the mountain readiness events. As I sat around the campfire, just like I normally do, listening to people, because I don't like to talk. I know it's hard to believe that I'm doing a podcast and I don't like to talk, but I just eavesdrop and I people watch, right? But I was impressed listening to Wes talk, his knowledge, his military knowledge, obviously, his preparedness knowledge, and his overall intellect. So I kind of moved myself over to that conversation, eavesdropped a little bit closer. So I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Wes. But first, let's see what Tim Walsh has to say.
Here at the South Park Leering Center, we're not just retarded, we're Minnesota retarded. Ilhan Omar was educated here, and she's completely retarded. And I know this might come as a surprise, but I, myself, am retarded.
Well, there you go, Wes. I mean, I can't sum it up any more than that. That's the geopolitical politics going on here in the States. But welcome to the Eden Army Podcast, brother. It's good to have you here.
Hey, thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so I first met you, I talked to you a little bit, and I didn't, you were kind of the guy in the shadows back there talking to all those heavy hitters, and I was kind of just eavesdropping a little bit, and I move a little bit closer because I want to eavesdrop a little. I want to make sure that I was hearing the right stuff, and like I said in the monologue, I was really impressed, and I told Melissa that night, or maybe somebody else, I go, I don't know what it is about that. I like that Wes guy. And they're like, what do you like about him? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I like about him. I just like the guy. He seems like he's a straight up guy, still a little bit switched on because you were still active at the time. I go, but he seems pretty damn cool. So it's been an honor to meet you, brother, and I'm glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, man. Likewise, it has been an honor to really, especially some of you author guys. You guys are giants in my mind. I love reading your works, and I just feel fortunate that I get to hang out with all you guys every time we get together.
So, and it's interesting kind of what T has done with that community, right? He's bringing in a whole bunch of people, military mindset people, me coming from the civilian world, turned into author and stuff like that. But what he's done with that community is it's been astounding to me. And I hope it continues on in that aspect. But what do you think about, like, now I know you were active, and then now you're kind of diving into this world of teaching and stuff like that. But what do you think about that group that T's kind of putting together with Mountain Readiness?
Man, I think probably one of the things that is the most valuable with any form of like training in the training community, I think, is just building community, right? Like training is great. Obviously, people walk away with a skill set. That's important. You know, anytime you attend a training course, you expect to learn a skill set. But if you can make friends and across the country, be able to pick up a phone, hey man, I'm broke down in Louisiana. Who do I have that's close by? You know, and then somebody come to your aid. And not only somebody come to your aid, but somebody that you actually like and enjoy spending time with. I think that's probably one of the more understated aspects of training and events like Mountain Readiness. And I think T does a very good job of fostering that friendly community. So like the last event when he had the band come in, we all hung out there by the stage. That night was awesome, dude. I want him to do that every night. You know, I know it's probably hard to do that every night. It's definitely an event to put all that stuff together. But I had a blast, man, and I know you did as well. All of us just hanging out together. It doesn't happen enough in enough different locations, where a lot of events you go to, you know, basically the end of the day rolls around, and then dudes just star cluster everywhere, go back to their different campsites or hotels or whatever it is. But I think T recognized the value of community and friendship and doing things together, having a drink together, telling jokes together. And I think that's probably one of the more understated things that you get with events like Mountain Readiness.
Well, and even if it appears to me he's bringing a core group of guys together. So he kind of shipped us all over to CanCon, and to hell with the band. We sat around the fire and did karaoke at CanCon all friggin' night. So to hell with the band. We got it handled. If T doesn't bring a band up, we'll sing around the campfire. Now we're not great, but we'll get it done. I think. Wes, tell us a little bit. Go ahead.
It's just the effort, you know, the fact that we're out there singing, whether we're good or not, you know, we're having fun, and that's the most important thing, I think.
That's what I told Melissa. She goes, when we listen to karaoke, and Melissa goes, boy, that guy is terrible, or that girl's terrible. I go, you know what? That girl thinks she sounds just like the artist right now. Let her go. She's belting it out. So yeah, I'm with you. And I think I sound like Mick Jagger sometime, but I know I don't. But tell the viewers a little bit what you can, a little bit about your military background before we get started.
Yeah, so I joined the 2005 out of Texas because of 9/11. You know, 2001 to 2005, there's a little bit of time frame. I was in ninth grade when 9/11 happened, but it affected me very deeply. And I remember actually where I was. You know, I was in school, first period of ninth grade. I was in Coach Hoover's world geography class. And we watched the towers fall in first period, ninth grade, back in Texas. And I think that was one of the times in my life that I can recall where America was actually united, and that hit me really deeply. And I don't know that I've seen that kind of unity across our country since. So. Yeah, I joined the Army in 2005. I was an unassigned airborne infantryman. I went to Sand Hills, went to one station unit training for infantry. I came out on the backside of that as a 11 Charlie, which is an airborne infantry mortarman. Got assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division. I did one long-ass deployment with the 82nd, working for the Joint Special Operations Command, which was a great deployment. You know, it was a long deployment, man. We got all the assets, dude, all the assets, really cool missions. I just was blown away. And while I was on that deployment, I got to work with a lot of CAG dudes, Delta guys, and Rangers, SEALs, you name the special operation unit. We worked with them on that deployment. And one of the CAG dudes that I worked with was a squadron sergeant major. And I guess he saw something in me or whatever. He kind of took me under his wing. He was like, hey, man, when you get back from all this, you need to go to SFAS. So I did. Got back from that deployment. I spent about half of the back half of that long deployment training for SFAS. Got back to Bragg, went to SFAS, got selected, went through the Q course, True Blue, no recycles. Came out on the backside of that as an 18 Charlie with Indonesian as my language. I was also the leadership awardee in the Q course. And then I got sent to 1st Battalion, 1st Special Forces Group out in Okinawa, Japan. I did almost 7 years out there, which is about as long as you can stay without having high school age kids that are ready to graduate. So I extended several times, ended up doing an IPCOT, which is basically a second tour overseas. And then, I tried to extend again, and they were like, hey, man, you've been here too long, dude. You got to go back to the States. You're going to start turning native on us or something, like Apocalypse Now. So then I got sent to SWIC. I did 4 years in SWIC as a surveillance instructor, teaching technical and physical surveillance with a specialty in surreptitious entry and covert methods of entry. And after that, I got selected for a specialized program underneath USASOC. And that's where I retired from. So I spent the last 7 years of my military career working at USASOC in a specialized surveillance program. So now I run RallyPoint ISR Solutions.
Right. So that's what we're gonna talk about RallyPoint here, and your teaching methodology is, and I know like a lot of ex-military guys or ex-civilian types, they go immediately, they retire, and it's immediately into firearms training, right? I'm guilty of this, and I've heard you say a few times that forget the firearms training. It's about the tactics. So explain a little bit of that. Why do you think tactics are so important, especially to the civilian world, maybe not even tactics? Maybe it's mindset, Wes. Maybe it's something like that. But why do you? And I've heard you say it on a couple occasions, and I don't disagree with you that tactics 99% of the times will take precedence over those skills you might learn on the range. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, man. Hey, combat pistol rifle skills are definitely important. And in fact, that's what brings most people to our community in the first place is going to the range and learning how to shoot a carbine, learning how to shoot a pistol, learning how to move under nods, learning the importance of comms and thermals. But, where I live, you can throw a wrench and hit a shooting instructor. Shooting instructors, regardless of what tier they worked at, are a dime a dozen. So I'm very fond of the saying, tactics over tech. I don't teach tech, I teach tactics. And I think once you've been to like your third or your fifth pistol carbine course, it might be time to broaden your horizons and open your skill set to something that is probably more applicable. So like, for instance, Delta just went and did that raid in Venezuela. What do you think got them there in the first place?
Right.
It was surveillance. It was surveillance that got them there in the first place. There's a dude on the ground building a pattern of life on the Cuban guard, looking for ways to get our guys in the country, looking for approach routes on foot, figuring out where the hard security was, where is maybe the best place to set up, where's a good HLZ, things of that nature. And it takes a dude on the ground with the surveillance and reconnaissance mindset and skill set to be able to do that. So without those skills, the skills that we teach over at RallyPoint, you're not even going to get to the X to be able to pull the trigger or, capture the the dictator of country X,
Right,
So
exactly, and not to mention those Delta guys built an actual mock-up of the building that the guy was in, so they could train over and over again and be as proficient as they were, and all that came from human intelligence, right? I mean, it's not like they could do a satellite photo and seen what rooms and where the safe room was and all that. That was human intelligence. So certainly, situational awareness, human intelligence, surveillance. There's something to be said for the areas, your area study that you talk about. Critical, and I don't. So with your background in planning and surveillance and stuff like that, how does that set you aside from the other SF type guys that are coming out and teaching? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't see anybody really teaching what you teach. I see people that want to learn manipulating your M4s, your carbines, and your pistols. I don't see anybody teaching exactly what you're teaching. So it was that the mindset when you got out. Look, I'm going to take what I'm good at, and I'm going to take this to the general public because. And not only that, but do you feel that there's a need within the general public or the civilian out there, the preparedness guy, for this type of knowledge?
Yeah, let me start by saying that special operations is a strange bird. We all come into the SF or SOF, Navy SEALs, Rangers, whatever, special operations unit you're in. We all come in, we're going to be door kickers and shooting people in the face, which is true. We do a lot of that, sure. But we all specialize in little niche things. And it usually has a lot to do with just your interests, man. I've always been interested in intelligence operations and reconnaissance, special reconnaissance, sniping, urban recce, things of that nature. That's just kind of where my interest laid. So that's where I spent my time. And I always kind of chased those courses throughout my career because they made my team so much better. They made us so much more, not to say lethal, right? Because lethality comes with like weaponry, weapons tactics, things of that nature. But again, you got to get to the target in the first place. And without intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, you're not even getting there. So I've heard some of my civilian students say multiple times, man, this course changed my life. I think the one that I hear that most frequently from is our CTR course that we run, our CTR 1 that we run. You just look at the world through a different lens after you know the things that we know. And people look at their homes, their business, their pattern of life differently. And I think that it's a skill set that everybody needs to have. I think the thing that you get probably most from that is recognizing where and how you're vulnerable. Once you understand that, then you can understand how to implement countermeasures in your life or on your property in order to make you a harder target.
Absolutely. So situational awareness, all that good stuff, and changing your pattern of life, right? If that's something that needs to happen. So yeah, good stuff. Wes, what are some of the most, during your classes, what are some of the most overlooked threats that individuals completely overlook and they should be prepared for from a civilian's aspect?
Well, I mean, the number one threat is just crime, burglary, random acts of violence. Believe it or not, they happen all over the place, dude. And I stopped a murder in St. Louis one time with my train horn that I've got on my truck. I just happened to be refueling at a gas station one time, and I went into the gas station to get coffee, came out, and there was two dudes running around the corner of the and just the cops couldn't see on my key fob, and my train started going off, and the cops looked at, and I was like, look over there.
Right.
And they ran over there, arrested both the dudes, and they were walking them back to their cruisers, and they're like, hey man, nice train horn. I was like, yeah, thanks for not allowing those dudes to kill each other in the gas station parking lot. But I think burglary and just random acts of violence are probably the two most common threats that people are going to face. Um, and situational awareness, and man, lock your doors, lock your car doors, lock your home. Even if you're home, you need to have your doors locked. I'm a 40-year-old ex-GB, and I always lock my door whenever I'm home because I don't want to turn around to a knife in the belly. You
Right.
know? I think one of the things that people can do that's very simple is buy auto locking deadbolts, right? With a keypad for your doors, all your exterior doors. Spend the money to get electronic locks with auto locking functions. You can't ever lock yourself out. Locks are behind you, so it's and it's money, So that's
right.
I think
So
that's probably one of the tips I can tell people is just be situationally aware. Make sure you're locking your vehicle, locking your home, and go to that pistol rifle carbine course. But also, after you've been to the pistol rifle carbine course 5 or 6 times, maybe think about expanding your skill set to something else.
Exactly. So tell us about this upcoming class, Wes, you have in Daytona Beach, Florida, the LVBT1. We're going to be doing that February 6th through the 8th. Tell us a little bit about what the students can expect and why civilians should take this damn class.
Well, the LVBT stands for lock vulnerabilities and bypass techniques. I really like, if I was giving you the 5-second elevator pitch, it's basically a surreptitious locksmithing course. As a homeowner, you're going to learn to work on your own locks, basically take your locks apart, put them back together, make keys that fit locks or make the key. If you ever have to hire a locksmith to get into your own home, it's going to cost you $300 to $500 just to have a call out. You're going to make that, if you attend our course, you're going to make that back in one call, basically. Beyond that, techniques that we teach are commonly used by criminals. So you're learning the vulnerabilities of your locks, right? And how criminals can take advantage of that. One of the exercises called photo decode. So basically we have of 2 different keys. We've got a to scale key and a not to scale key. So basically one is a Xerox copy of a key. Students make a copy of that key. And then the other one is a not to scale key. The students are going to have to, do the math, figure out the different cut depths on those keys, and then make a key that actually works in both locks, so that's a good exercise. And then a lot of the bypass stuff that we do, again, you got to understand how criminals operate. And by knowing how you're vulnerable, it makes you a harder target, right? Everybody's heard the story about walking in the woods with a buddy and then y'all both get chased by the bear, right? I don't got to be faster than the bear. I just got to be faster than my buddy.
Exactly.
I hate to say it, but your neighbor in that wood situation, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just got to be a harder target than your neighbor, right? So,
and that's the biggest takeaway that just from watching you teach some of this stuff is knowing the vulnerabilities, right? Knowing the vulnerabilities and where you're lacking. You, after your class, you could pick apart your locks at your house and say, no, this lock is not going to cut it, right? Because the bad guys know how to bypass this lock. So this is going to help your overall security just by learning the techniques of what the bad guys are already doing, right? So very cool. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to having you down here. I think you're going to have a good time, I suspect. And luckily you'll be getting out of here just in time for the knuckleheads from NASCAR to show up. So they're coming a week afterwards. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We've got a pretty good venue, and Volusia Top Gun down in right down the road here. So I think we've got you all squared away. Wes, we talked a little bit about the way T is building up a community. How important is in preparedness? How important is actually having a community. We call it our tribe, right? I call it my people. I call our tribe. How important is it in preparedness to have a community, have a mutual assistance group, have a group of guys, not just when you're broken down on the other side of the country, but in your area of operation, and where you are your bug out location, or if you're bugging in. How important is community?
I mean,
Oh, we lost him. But what he's going to say is very friggin' important. But let's get him back here. Here he comes. There he is.
hey, yeah, I'm very fond of the saying that none of us are as smart or strong as all of us, right? So community is ultra important. So important, in fact, that I always pay for lunch and dinner whenever I run courses for all my students, for the entire course, because it brings us together, just like T does at Mountain Readiness. Just like T does at Mountain Readiness when he has the band come in and, we all hang out together. I think that, when you attend a course, that is a good opportunity to meet like-minded individuals that you're not going to get another opportunity to have. So, yeah, man, like I was saying, if you break down middle of nowhere, Louisiana, and you pick up your phone, how close is the closest person that's going to be able to come to your aid? And that's all built through, not being an introvert, getting out there, talking to people, especially at courses like the ones we attend.
I agree. Now I'm looking back at some of the question here, and looks like Patrick wants to know when the hell you're coming to Michigan. He wants to have a drink with you. Campfire in the snow doesn't sound appealing to me. Wes might dig it, but campfire in the snow does not sound appealing. Any plans for anywhere in the Midwest? Not yet.
I'm not planning on going to Michigan anytime soon. It looks like we're trying to line something up in Indiana, possibly, maybe Fort Wayne area, but we haven't nailed that down yet. If anybody wants to put on a course in their hometown, we've got a 12 student minimum. If you can get 12 folks together and line up a classroom for us, we'll come to your location, anywhere in the U.S., continental U.S., that is.
Right, exactly. With you're talking about a 12 student minimum. How many? We talked to you have about 6 or 7 people signed up for this class, and we would really like to get Wes 12 people or 12 paid students to take this darn class. So make it worth his while, and that way we're able to bring him back next year. He's driving halfway across the country, for the love of God. Let's get him set up. But that's the game plan. So I think that answered that. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, right now we've got 7, so we're getting there. I think by the time we actually come to course execution date, we should be sitting pretty.
Perfect. Looks like Kick is in and out over there, Russ. I'm not quite sure what's going on over there. It might just be on my end or Kick's end. But the next question is, Wes, with auto-locking keypad doors, are those locks as vulnerable as the regular deadbolts?
Yeah, that's kind of a it depends question. It depends on the lock manufacturer. Does it have security pins in it? How many pins are in the lock? With a keypad, one of the functions that I look for, a couple of the functions that I look for are a mechanical key bypass. So if the battery dies on the lock, or gets fried for some reason, is there a way that I can still get through it with a mechanical key? I'm a real big fan and proponent of Lockly locks, Lockly. One of my favorite functions that they have is a randomized keypad. So basically you activate the keypad instead of having like a conventional phone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 style keypad. The numbers pop up in a different location every time you touch the keypad. So if somebody were, say, watching thermal optic or whatever, it doesn't do them any good to see where you touch the keypad, because the next time it gets activated, it's going to randomize the digits. So I like a randomized keypad. I'm a big fan of the biometric, fingerprint as well. I like to be able to issue codes, temporary codes. Say I've got a cleaning lady, I give her a temporary code that expires on a certain date and time. And then I like issuing everybody within my home their own code so I can see who comes and who goes at what time. There's a digital trail, forensic digital trail of who's used that lock. And then, having the mechanical key as well.
Perfect. Let's see what else we got. Susan, we'll definitely make sure you are, for your birthday on the 6th, have plenty of beer. I promise you that. We always do, sweetheart. Don't worry about that. Russ, how can we get a hold of you and sign up for your class in Daytona Beach and your other classes?
Yeah, so our website is www.RallyPointISRsolutions.com. If you go to our homepage, go all the way down to the bottom, there's a email sign up. You can sign up, send us an email through the website if you want to put on your own custom class. We've got all our course offerings in the hamburger drop down. We also have a tab for upcoming courses. And then if you need a custom solution, that is something that we do. If you want a hybrid class at your location that does a little bit of everything, all you got to do is reach out to us through the website. Also on the homepage down at the bottom, we've got all our social media linked on there. We've got Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So perfect. Soon, hopefully, we'll have a YouTube channel up. We'll start putting out a little bit more video content. But right now, all our social medias are on the bottom of our homepage. So would appreciate a like and a follow on all those. And
like, share, subscribe. Keep the algorithm gods happy. Dan, Tom Brace and his son are going to be there. I'm sure the cast of merry men and women that you're used to seeing are going to be at the class. So hopefully you signed up and you're able to take those 3 days and learn a little bit about something. Wes, you said you could stick around for a little bit. So what I'd like to do is get your take on I know that you're probably not in the geopolitical environment for the most part, but there's some weird stuff going on in the world. And I want to run a video real quick, and then we'll bring also Russ in and talk about what's going on in Iran. Obviously, they're having protests in there over there, and a lot of it's civil protests. You got the capital city there is basically running out of water, and they're going to have to ship people out of Tehran just because of that. And with that happening, now you're starting to see outside influence, probably from the U.S., probably most certainly from Israel. But they're taking the mostly peaceful protests, as the liberals would say, and turning them into a little bit of kinetic activity. So let me run this video real quick, and we'll bring everybody in. So, wow. So the background behind that, guys, well, welcome, Russ. Glad you're coming from behind the scenes. The background behind that is apparently, from what the interwebs is saying, is that person happened to be, the victim there happened to be a police officer who was not very friendly to the protesters. So for some reason, they decided it was going to be a bad day for him. And this goes a lot, Wes, to what you were saying about situational awareness, right? I mean, he's a high-profile cop, and it's tumultuous times over there, and it didn't seem like he was too worried about anything. Did you happen to see that video before, or is that the first time you saw it?
No, that's the first time I've seen that, man. But God bless, dude. You didn't see the guy coming up on you from behind with the AK hanging out the window?
Right, situational awareness. Russ, what's your take on all of that going on?
Well, and I'll have to agree with Wes. I mean, they got side view mirrors on these vehicles for a reason, and it's not just for traffic. If you've been to, training such that Wes gives and training that I received 100 years ago, like before Wes even became into the military, thank you for making me feel old. But Yeah, you gotta be aware of your surroundings. You really do, and you know.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, there's a lot going on, guys. There's a lot going on in the world right now. So keep your heads on a swivel. It's only a matter of time before this stuff reaches our shores, and it's gonna get ugly. As a matter of fact, we don't even have to wait. It's already at our shores. Wes, you said that one of the determining factors of you going into the military, something that stuck in your mind, was 9/11. And ever since then, all I ever heard of, don't forget 9/11. Don't forget. We won't forget 9/11. Well, this is what took place in New York City this week.
Here is Atlantic. We are hearing Azan. Come here. I think he's taking off Texas now. Yeah. I never thought in my life he's gonna be here hearing this in the middle of New York. Good.
Wes, what emotion does that drag up in you, or does that something you just kind of stay in the void there and keep your own little lane there? What does that stir up any emotion for you?
Kill it with fire.
Yeah,
Kill it
I'm with
fire.
you. I'm with you. And, this is part of what happens when you decide that you're going to elect a Muslim socialist as mayor of New York City, guys. And look, I'd hate to say we told you so, but this is only the beginning. Now, Mandami promised, free food in the grocery store, government take over the grocery store, free transportation, public transportation. The day after he took office, the transit system went up $3. It's not
Yep.
free anymore, folks. Someone's got to pay for it. So, yikes. Not to mention the fact that it's not just a city problem. The governor of New York, Mrs. Uckel, decided that this month, of all months, this month was going to be Muslim Heritage Month. And this is what a little bit of commentary gentlemen have to say about that.
New York's governor, Kathy Hochul, issued a proclamation declaring January Muslim American Heritage Month across the state and directed 16 state landmarks to be illuminated green this past Friday night in celebration of the heritage and culture of Muslim Americans, including One World Trade Center, also known as the Freedom Tower, to be lit green in the name of Muslim American Heritage Month. Hold up. Let's unpack this with a sledgehammer and some fucking common sense. This is the very ground zero site where nearly 3,000 people, innocent people, were murdered by terrorists who literally use religion as a recruiting tool. And we're lighting it UGLY green as a celebratory gesture because one day this month someone said we should. Are we actually living in this timeline? I want to be crystal clear. Muslim Americans who condemn terrorism, serve in our armed forces, teach our kids, run businesses, they are Americans, period. But you don't get to sweep 9/11 victims and their families under the rug like an inconvenient piece of dust just because a proclamation says so. This is the same political class that insists on never forgetting 9/11 and will lecture you for daring to pronounce the wrong acronym or pronoun. Suddenly thinks it's A-OK to dress up the most solemn national monument tied to that day in celebratory neon green? For what? A feel-good press release? You don't get to paint over grief with a spotlight when the optics are this fucking tone deaf. Do you think that the families of the victims are like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Why not? Light it up green. That's cool. No, they deserve respect. The site deserves solemn remembrance, not a color scheme that feels like a misunderstanding. It's PR theater. This isn't about hate. It's about respect, timing, context, and common sense. And right now, the decision looks like someone grabbed a paint bucket without opening their eyes. So call it what it is, a monument to tone-deaf policymaking with zero regard for the people still living with this pain. Fucking wowzers.
I couldn't have said that any better. As a matter of fact, he said it much better than he's way more articulate than I am. Russ, what's your take on even the governor at this point? going down this line.
Needs to go. That is, to me, that's a violation of the oath that individual. I'm not even going to classify that person as a person. That individual took, trying to placate just one person, one group of people is wrong, especially when it's a slap in the face to all of the folks that died. Not only the 3,000 that died there. Think of all the servicemen and women that lost their lives because of that.
Yeah, well, can't we just have the one thing in our country that's sacred, right? One thing that we revere more than anything else. And I would think of anything else more than maybe the greatest generation, first of all, and what happened to us on 9/11 and the people that had to suffer that and are still suffering that. We still have people that are dying of cancer because of the first responders that had to go in and inhale all that asbestos while they were searching for friends and family, right? It's crazy to me. I don't understand it. And again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but New York, we told you so, you knuckleheads. Anything, Wes, on that, brother? I know you're probably just starting to fume about now, and I don't blame you.
Yeah, man, I got no words, dude. Like I said, kill it with fire. The fate of empires comes to mind. America, we had a good run.
Exactly. You talk about the fate of empires, and you talk about empires throughout history, and you think at some point we would learn, right? We would learn that terms like collectivism are a bad thing. Rugged masculinity, right? Doing away with rugged masculinity, the thing that built this country, is a bad thing. But for some strange reason, this is the rhetoric that's coming from the socialists over in New York City. And if you don't believe me, just listen to what the director of housing or whatever her appointment is within the Mondami administration has to say about owning your property in New York City.
I think the reality is that for centuries we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good, and we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently, and it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
Collective good, relationship with property, and mostly white people will be affected. Some persons of color also, but for the most part, your relationship with the things that you worked for, the things that you sweat and bled for, the one thing that probably costs you more than anything, your house, you're going to have to have a different relationship with those. You have to have a different relationship. I don't know what that means, but you're going to have a different relationship with your property. What do you think? Are you ready to have a different relationship, Russ, with your property?
On my own accord.
Mm-hmm.
On my own accord, yes. Having someone whose mother lives in a house that's $1.4 million telling me that I have to give up my property, no.
Yeah.
Cold dead hands comes to mind.
Yeah, it's
and I'll leave that at that.
Yeah, Wes, it's interesting times we live in. It this doesn't have people scared enough to go take these classes, to learn what the bad guys are doing, to learn the ways of the bad guys.
Can you guys tell me, is that the same chick? Can y'all see that? Is that too bright? Pretty sure this is the same chick. This one right here.
Yes, that is.
Yep.
That looks very much like the same chick. Yeah.
The toothless chick?
Yeah, I believe.
I think I've seen her on YouTube before doing her makeup.
Sure does look like her.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
And somebody confronted her about the $1 million house, and it brought her to tears, the fake liberal tears, which I found quite pleasing.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised you didn't just call the person a Nazi or homophobic and
Alligator tears, dude.
and run away and I don't get it, guys. I don't understand. But this is reality. This is what's come to our shores. This is what we voted for. This is what I don't look. If you're not getting ready, if you're not preparing by now, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do for you. I'm sorry. You need to go tune into the crocheting podcast or something. You're tuned into the wrong podcast at this point. I don't know what to tell you. And it's not just the crazy liberals in New York City, right? There's stuff right now going on in Minnesota that I'm sure we've all heard about it. We've all heard how the ICE agents, the Gestapo of the Orange Man, murdered this fine young lady who was just out for a morning stroll. There was no way she was obstructing justice. There was no way that she was looking to hinder the abilities of federal agents. Russ, this was a nice young lesbian lady who just got caught up by the Orange Man's Gestapo. But let's really listen to eyewitness accounts, not the propaganda that comes from ABC's, NBC's, CBS, and CNN. Let's look at what somebody who was actually there has to say about this.
It clearly wanted her out of there because she was the main car leading the protest, is my understanding. I talked to another guy who was driving behind her, but she was very successful in blocking traffic. She was doing what she was set out to do, and so they wanted to get her the hell out of there. Yeah.
So it looked like she was impeding ICE vehicles.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
That was her goal.
No, Russ, she was just trying to pull out. She was just trying to get out and got caught up in a little snow. She was not putting a blockade in front of ICE.
Okay. If that's the case, why was her partner on the sidewalk after they had just supposedly dropped their child off at school? Why was her partner on the sidewalk filming the entire thing?
Yeah, it's a great question, and Patrick nails it in the head here. He says there's also an 8-minute long video of her wife standing next to the car right next to her, shouting hysterically and crying, spilling the beans, saying that they shouldn't have gone there, they shouldn't have done what they were doing, that they shouldn't have been little insurrectionist bitches. Sorry. Young ladies. And look, this is what happened. This is the epitome of fuck around, find out, right? This is the epitome. Look, if there's a police operation going on down the road, Pete's staying in his house. I'm not even going to look to see what's happening. I'm locked and loaded, waiting for the bad guy to come into my house. I don't care what's happening out there. Look, this is domestic terrorism, plain and simple. Maybe a color revolution. I don't know what's happening. We could dive into all that on another show, but this is all planned, guys. This is all planned. I don't know, Wes. I don't know where it's all going from here. But like you said, and like we talked about over in CanCon, this very well could be the fall. Wes, have we reached the point of no return in America?
Do you want my honest opinion? Of course, you
I
asked what you asked,
absolutely
right?
want your honest opinion.
Yeah,
And it's okay.
I listened to Elon on Rogan. He was talking about his time at Doge, and he was only talking about our national debt. Recently it came out that Venezuela's got $17 trillion worth of oil reserves and stuff like that, which we have a heavy investment in. People are saying, "Oh, Trump's going to keep it all, and that's going to offset the entire global economy." Bro, we're approaching $40 trillion of national debt. Even if we kept it all, took it all, sold it all, that doesn't even get us halfway to recouping our national debt. So, yeah, have we reached the point of no return? I think. Look, here's a sad truth: is every empire in the history of the entire world has fallen. Now, if you read Sir John Glubb's work, where he documents all the empires across the entire history of the world, all of the empires have fallen. You know, the most recent one that fell from grace was Great Britain. You know, at Great Britain's height, they were all around the world, dude. And we were a British colony, and you know, we knocked them out of the #1 spot. And I think probably what America looks like, it's not going to be this sharp cliff and we just fall off the face of the earth. I think it's going to be a slow downward trend until we're just no longer the world's power. You know.
I would agree with you. But with that being said, I mean, guys, we still have to take care of our families until that time happens. So get prepared, learn something, get out in the range, come take my class. But more importantly, learn from guys like Wes. For the love of God, learn what the enemy's doing, and not just the class he's doing in Daytona, but all the classes. I'm impressed so much with the area surveillance class because that has practical principles right now where you're at. Knowing what's around you. Wes, you got any final words for the viewers before we go on to our? We'll let you give some final words on your end, and then we'll cut you loose, brother, and we'll do our normal buffoonery if you don't mind. What do you got? Final words for the viewership.
Yeah, man, I do have one final thought. You know, I said that it's too late to right the ship. You know, there's no turning this thing around. I don't want that to scare our viewers. I don't want that to make you think that you should buy an underground bunker and hide out and live underground and not enjoy your life, man. This world is not our home, right? I think that's important to know. There's a life after this. We're all going to be there one day, whether it's up there or down there. We're all going to the same place. Life is finite and short. Enjoy your time here. Be calculated in what you do. But live and enjoy your life. Don't be stupid. Be prepared. Even if America's not the world's power 5-10 years from now, life will go on. And if you go to a second or third world country, there's still people down there having a great time, you know. And if America becomes the next Great Britain, you're still going to have a family. Your life is going to go on. You're still going to have to enjoy life and get by. So I would say train, like Pete said, prepare, be ready for worst case scenario, but don't hide in the basement, man. Go out and enjoy your life. Just be calculated on what you do every day.
That is perfect, guys. We're going to let Wes go. Wes, thanks for being here with us tonight. We appreciate you. We're looking forward to seeing you in Daytona Beach here in a few weeks. And we look forward to taking your class, brother. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel.
All right. Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me. Russ, holler at you later, dude. Adios, y'all.
Take it easy, brother. Thank you. Guys, you know what time it is. It is time for the wow, that guy's awesome, isn't he?
Absolutely, man. I love Wes to death. Had a lot of really great conversations with him over the last 2 or 3 years I've known him. Looking forward to many more.
Yeah.
Not just about world events, but just shooting the shit.
Yeah, look, the best time with Wes is not only in his class, but you get around him in the campfire, you have a couple of cocktails in you, and you start to talk to him and really dive into what he's all about. You're not going to have a better time. And that's why it's important places like Mountain Readiness, CanCon, whenever we're able to get together. Daytona Beach here in a couple of weeks. I'm sure there's going to be an after party or two going on. I don't know. I don't have anything planned. But it's that community that we had talked about. But Russ, we got 5 minutes. We'll go a little longer. We'll go a little longer. But
yeah.
let's talk about, guys, if you've got a prep of the week, I want to know what your prep of the week is. Patrick already says he picked up a 10-watt multi-frequency jammer that covers everything from Wi-Fi to cell phones wirelessly, key locks, everything. There you go. Prep of the week. Look, just because we're not doing a podcast every week doesn't mean you get away from the prep of the week. Do something. If you didn't put a can of beans under your bed, then you're negligent in your obligation to prepare yourself. I don't care what it is. Prep of the week. Russ, I did a little TCCC training with the boys yesterday, little medical training that was good to brush up my skills, but also get them in line to what we expect should there be an event where, well, hell, we need to patch somebody up. Also, I was talking to Alan Kay at the last CanCon event, and he's a knife guy, right? He's the guy that he basically would throw his gun away to stab you with a knife. I asked him what kind of
truer words were never spoken.
Right? Well, I asked him, I go, listen, all right, knife guy. I go, what's your knife? And he told me this sock P or something. I don't remember, but they're little daggers. So I'm look them up. I go, well, look, if Alan Kay has them, I gotta get them, right? I looked up the price, and again,
and then your wallet, then your cheap wallet.
I'm notoriously cheap, so I'm like, no, I'm not buying 2 of those. So what I did this week is I went to the little home forge and started beating up some metal, and that's what I came up with. So
very cool.
Hopefully it works, and I don't.
Well, the next time you see
shit out of myself,
Sir Alan Kay, you'll have to show it to him and say, "What are your thoughts?"
No, I'm not going to show him this. He'll
you
bite
chicken.
it, chew it.
You're such a chicken shit.
Look, but I made it. Damn it! So that's I'm happy with it. So I don't.
Oh, absolutely.
I forged it and beat it out of some spring steel, and I'm happy. So it kept me out of trouble anyway. And I got a few burns, but what the hell?
Yeah.
Russ, what about you? Did you do a little prep of the week? Get anything done?
Well, Teresa and I went through our bug out bags before we left, and we have them down to a even lighter weight. And then we practiced a bug out run, for lack of a better way of saying it. One of our possible bug out runs are down here to Florida, and we made it safely. So we are down in Florida for the foreseeable future, kind of homestead sitting, and going to try to get back on to book 2 next week. If everything works out right, Audible will be out tomorrow, and as soon as it does come out, I will make sure I get it out there for everybody for book 1.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Big T says he just picked up an awesome bug out bag. Yes, we want the link. Throw the link up whenever you can, brother. I'd like to see what you got going on. Julie Dorn says, creating a reminder binder, water rotation, generator maintenance, gas rotation. Look, yeah, and it's not all about buying stuff. Look, I understand times are tough for a lot of people. The orange man didn't deliver with his $2,000 fucking bonus check yet. I get it. I understand it. But there's no reason, right? You can't get organized and organize your preps. Or how about rotate your preps? How about some of the stuff you've had on the shelf for 2 or 3 years, those canned goods? Maybe now you need to eat those and rotate them out, right? You got to go grocery shopping anyway. You got to eat, right, Russ?
Absolutely. And folks, I know 90% of you over here in the chat have read the Borrowed World series by Franklin Horton. And he talks about the binder. And I was able to, Teresa and I took a class by Franklin on that binder at Heritage Life Skills many, many years ago. And yes, we are not anywhere near that binder, but it is, I just read your private chat. Having some type of a log like Julie and Roy are doing to help when, in case, like Pete, I know you and I are a lot alike. We take care of all the outside stuff, all the heavy lifting. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we help with the food preps and stuff like that, usually hauling stuff in and that sort of thing. But, we're getting involved with it. But having a binder that shows how to do those things is just a wealth of information for if you happen to get incapacitated.
Yeah, exactly. Franklin did it in his book. I know Miss Melissa has one around here floating around. If I'm not around. Susie, I have no idea when the hike is. It's going to be in February at some time. But the way my schedule's going, I have zero. I know you need to try to get some time off. I appreciate that, but I have zero idea when we're doing the Eden hike this year. I'm working. I'm trying to figure it out. She keeps putting more stuff on my plate, sweetie. I don't know what to tell you. But with that said, she did say she filled 2 more buckets of food, so that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Julie says that Franklin's HLS class was amazing.
It really was.
I wasn't even really into prepping when all that was going on. I wish I would. Well, not prepping as an industry per se. I mean, we always kept stuff at the house because I live in Florida and hurricanes bash us every year. So I always had stuff, but I didn't even know that was kind of a thing. So. Wes sent me a knockoff of the knife that I made. I couldn't do it, Wes. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to buy that when I got steel and a forge out there. I wanted to, and I thought about it, but then
he's over in the green room.
Yeah,
you gotta ask him what his prep of the week is.
Yeah, well, getting back to that though, but I the only thing I think of is what Russ was talking about when we're at the next event. And Alan sees those things on me and he's like, oh, fuck. At least I can say, look, I suck at forging, but I made this one myself, son of a gun. So good stuff. What else we got here? Batteries. He says his prep of the week is lithium batteries, AA's and AAA's. Yes. And that's something that Jason's been harping about here with the group is batteries. So yeah, batteries are, you're going to need those. That's for damn sure. Russ, it's been an hour, my friend.
All right, hold on, Bob. I'll do that.
You're going to put the link up?
Bob just sent me an email with the link to that, and I'm going to grab it out of my email here real quick. And but we have a couple other for the week. You missed a couple.
Let me see. I'll go through them.
I'm going to make sure you didn't miss any.
Kelly says the prep of the week is watching the Eden Army podcast. All right, I appreciate that. Rev did send me a picture. He did a 2-mile ruck with 14-pound pack on. Good for you, Rev. Ramona says a thermal scope. That doesn't suck. She updated her meg bag. And Guy is getting ready for an FTX. And let me see if I can't pull this up and show everybody this. Let me share my screen here, Russ. Let me see if I know how to do this. Entire screen. There we go. Bada boom, bada bing. That is the awesome bug out bag. And then just throw that link in chat. I might be able, no, I can't. Russ, you just throw that in chat. That'd be awesome. But that does look low profile, gray manish, right? I kind of dig that. So very cool. Go through, how big is that? 25 liters.
Not terrible.
No, I dig it.
And
You'd be surprised.
Colors.
Well, remember, he's been through Alan's class, so he is very minimalistic, I imagine, at this point.
Yeah.
Like me, there's no way I'm fat Italian guy. I need a whole bunch of snacks and all that kind of stuff. So, I need a bigger pack, I think. But no, yeah, if you go through Alan's class, I mean, Alan could live for 10 weeks out of what he has in his cargo pants pockets.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I mean, he has that level 7 sleep system, and he can go in the woods with that and just completely survive.
Caleb's got a military compass and learn tactical land navigation. You can do a lot of that. Take a class for sure, but look up Stoker. I think his name is Stoker on YouTube. He gives a great breakdown of land navigation. And look, if I can get a dumb firefighter, if I can understand it from the YouTube video, then certainly anybody can, right?
And Pete, what was that? And there's that game thing on Steam.
Yeah, that's a game. It's a game. It's a learning. It's not really. Well, it is a game, but it's called Land Nav, I think, and it basically goes through all the land navigational courses that our military has to go through. Same setup, same basic area, and teaches you how to do all that stuff too. So there's many different ways to learn that stuff. When's the next juniper hike? I'm working on it, brother. I promise. I'm trying for February, but things are getting hectic around the Robert Tucci household, so I apologize. Well, Russ, it's your time, brother. What do you got?
Well, happy 2026, everybody. We're going to try to do a better job than we did last year. Hope you guys will enjoy and stick around with us. And remember, guys, it's always better to be someone's shot of whiskey than everybody's glass of tea. That's all I got, Pete.
Very good. And yeah, we're always trying to improve the podcast. Look, guys, I get it. I'm an introvert. I don't like this stuff, but we started this podcast to try to get out into the preparedness community, to see that we're actually doing this stuff, not just writing silly books, but we're actually out doing this stuff, right? So hopefully we've done a little bit of that last year, and we're going to do a whole bunch more next year. But regardless, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the world, so make sure you're safe out there, guys. And if you can't be safe, well, be dangerous. Thanks for watching the Eden Army podcast. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And remember, be safe.